Welcome all to your District 5. Welcome. We're very excited to see all of you who turned up. I am actually going to turn the time immediately over to Mayor Kaufusi. For the first hour.
So it's great if you came here thinking that it was going to be something else, but every year we try and get out to every neighborhood and present. We got shut down during COVID, so this is our first back at it, and we're really excited. I was just telling Laura, this is big for us. We used to have to do 32 of these, and now we're doing 5. So I also, when I was doing 32, I only brought 1 or 2 directors. But since we're doing only 5, you've got the heavy hitters in the room. And I love that they're willing to support me as their mayor and be here, because I want you to have face recognition with your fire chief and with your police chief and with the public works director and the library director. So literally, you've got the heavy hitters in the room. So I do love that. What we'll do first is I think we'll have them introduce themselves. Look how thrilled they are. They're just like, Mayor, you're killing us. But so you'll take the microphone, say your name and what department you represent.
I am.
Gotta give it up.
There we go. Okay, I'm Amanda Erkenbrack, customer service.
Bill Pepperoni, Development Services.
Marla Gordon, the library.
Brian Jones, City Attorney.
I'm Dave Decker, I'm the Public Works Director.
John Morgan, Director of Administrative Services.
Jeremy Hedman, Fire Department.
I'm Troy Beebe, I'm your police chief.
So I jumped ahead. I usually show a little video, but I did that on purpose because Amanda has to go to her daughter's band concert. I am not going to stand in the way of my favorite performances in the schools is the band concerts because they're so horrible, but it's just hilarious. Like you just sit there and you're like, wow, okay. So go and enjoy your daughter's concert. All right, I kind of like to start with just a short little video that shows just a little highlight of Provo, because for me tonight is basically my report card to you. What is your mayor doing for you? So we'll start with a fun little video that we put together for our State of the City this past a couple months ago. Okay. So this is not a session. Now there's much to this. Standards we are achieving and to share our progress spirit for continued success. Together. little brief update of kind of what's going on in the city, and I apologize for the sound. We've got this room almost completely set up except for that piece. It's still supply chain issues. So next year when we're here, you're gonna really have a great sound system when you watch our latest video. So I want to talk about the 4 pillars. When I became mayor, I felt like we needed some direction and we needed to focus on some 4 basically talking points that we could really put our time and effort and go to work on. So what did we do? We sent out a survey to the citizens in the community. I wanted to hear what you wanted because again, I'm a citizen and I represent you. We got all the results back and basically everything, once we compiled it and organized it, it fell under our 4 pillars, which are safe and sound, economically vibrant, welcoming, and forward-looking. So what I think I'll do is I'll kind of start, and on each pillar, I've just thrown up some of the projects and exciting things that are happening that tie into that pillar. I'll read the things that we have on it, and then we'll focus on one. So right out of the gate, Provo Parks and Recreation, they won this year Best in Nation with the National Gold Medal Award. We literally are the best rec center in the nation. And that Scott Henderson isn't able to be with us, but Doug is here, who's over all of our parks. So they are just an amazing team. We're so proud of them and happy and literally, I told them when they were going out for this award, I said, let me come with you because I think you're gonna get it. And Scott Henderson's like, no, I don't want the mayor there. What if we? So I'm like, you're not, you guys are so good, you're not gonna lose. And of course I did go and they won. So next we have our Provo City Hall and Public Safety Building, which has enhanced our citizen-friendly experience in our public safety headquarters. Where we're meeting tonight is a community room. This room is built for the community. We want you to use this room. It's similar to our community room at Fire Station 2 that we built. It is a community room up there in that new fire station, and we want you to utilize it. Next is the Regional Sports Park. This is an exciting new park that's coming to Provo. We're hoping to cut the ribbon on this a year from this fall. Okay, so this is the one that we kind of, after getting your questions and thoughts, that we thought we would speak to. So Doug, why don't you come and speak to it right now?
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to speak to you today a little bit about one of the pillars here in Provo, one of the mayor's pillars of welcoming. The Regional Sports Park is one of these projects that really does, it's got the theme of welcoming integrated throughout the entire project. Right now, we have over 300 teams, sports teams, competing for 11 different sports fields that we currently have in Provo. And so what we've tried to do over the years is expand our neighborhood parks to try to cover that need, but they're really not meeting that critical need for sports programming here, nor the future. So this project really hits on that theme of welcoming this investment in the future of healthy and active lifestyles for our community. Visitors of our community are going to feel welcomed by this project because there's so few fields. Provo kids have never been able to host a regional tournament here in the city of Provo, but we do a lot of traveling. Those parents that have kids that play on these competitive sports leagues are traveling to other communities all over the country. This cost can really start to grow, and we're spending our money in other areas of the country. So we're planning to flip that script and be able to host our own tournaments right here in Provo and have these people come and travel here to Provo. Travel sports tourism is a multi-billion-dollar industry in the United States. It's growing every single year. So we're excited about the existing and new business opportunities that will be available to our community here as we attract people to Provo as a travel destination. Again, Provo's just got a great location in the country. There's a crossroads here in the Intermountain West. It's going to be attractive to a lot of teams and players that play in the desert Southwest, especially in the summertime. It's going to seem very comfortable to come to Provo and play in 90-degree weather instead of the 115 temperatures you have down in Arizona and also in Vegas. We hope to have over 200,000 visitors every year at this facility. And that's really going to stimulate the economy with lodging, restaurants, entertainment, transportation opportunities. And I'm sure we're all very, will be very happy to welcome this new revenue in our community. And then design. The design of this facility is really quite unique. Those of you that have been to similar sports facilities of larger scale, they're really not designed like this one is for traffic and flow. And we really working with our partners with Public Works to make sure that we thought this out so that in between games, this facility will be able to flow and teams will be able to leave and teams will be able to come in. It's also very, very close to transportation opportunities. Right next to the airport, we've got the I-15 corridor running by now that will now be connected with the Lakeview Parkway. And we've also even got a beautiful trail system that runs right along Lakeview Parkway. So there'll be multimodal opportunities to attend this site for our teams, our spectators, and also other visitors. Right now, we're really busy filling the site. We've been filling it for about 1.5 years. I think we're about 70% complete on the site infill. We're installing all of the sewer, water, stormwater utilities on site. They're all underground, so that work's happening right now, which will be followed by electrical build out and based on borrow, and we'll start working on the hardscapes here within this summer. Again, we really feel this project integrates all those elements of being a welcoming project to the community. This will then join the Peaks Ice Arena, the Provo Rec Center, Covey Arts Center, in delivering some of the best industry-leading recreation opportunities there are. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so that's something really exciting that we're all looking forward to. And we'll keep you posted for the grand opening of that. The last one that I have on our list is BYU officially joins the conference on July 1st, 2023. They joined the Big 12. And you're thinking, why does that matter to Provo? And the reason that matters to Provo is because the teams that we are now going to be playing against, and see, this is where I show my youngness when it comes to sports. Is it Oklahoma?
Oklahoma University, yeah.
And Oklahoma University will
Sooners.
be here, and apparently they travel tens of thousands of people, tailgate, and so interesting enough, I am still married to a football coach. You're sitting back there, sorry, honey, for 25 years, and I once in a while got the privilege to travel with the team. And when you travel with the teams, even when you're literally with the team, you come in the 1 or 2 days before. So Provo is really lucky because we get to be the first impression. We are the first impression for these tens of thousands of people that are coming to Provo. It's not the stadium. They'll see the stadium on Saturday, but they are going to be in our city, in our community, and we want to be really welcoming to them. So that's why this falls under our welcoming pillar. All right, let's move on to our next pillar, safe and sound. Safe and sound matters. Did you guys know that Provo was the safest city in the state of Utah? It was voted the safest city in the state of Utah and the 3rd safest city in the nation. So that is something to say for our public safety and all the good works they're doing, which speaks to our state-of-the-art public safety headquarters. It is this, I mean, and you are on the safe side, by the way. This is the public safety building piece. We are thrilled with the awards it's been winning for its excellence and for its fiscally responsibility that we used on this building. I don't know if any of you had ever visited our old police headquarters, but that was built for 40 officers, and we are up to 120, Chief, and that's not including staff. There were literally officers in broom closets. There were we were down to 1 bathroom working. It was in failure mode. We got an F on our report card for our public safety building. So the public safety is thrilled to be in this beautiful building that all of you are part of. They literally have more square footage on one floor than they did in the whole old building. It's amazing and it's so deserving for all of the hard work they do. Has anyone visited our fire station too, up on, let's see, that's Canyon Road? I should know, I drive by it often. This is a beautiful fire station. It is the first new fire station in 20 years in the city of Provo. What was there before? If you remember, I was born and raised in Provo, so I remember all of this. It was a house that was turned into a fire station. And it was just falling apart. We couldn't have women stay up there because we didn't have the quarters for them. It was leaking. Our firefighters were sleeping in a basement with no windows or no outlets, literally breaking every wall there was. So it's very exciting to see this beautiful new fire station too, especially with this community room that I was speaking about. So see right here, when we were building this, I felt like we really, just like this building, needed to have a community component. And so that is a community room that is available to you. And we want you to use it. So please reach out and use these community rooms for whatever need you might have. I've seen birthday parties, I've seen a crochet group met over there. It's just been really fun and we want you to utilize it. All right, the next one is our 2 pedestrian bridges. And this is one that we're going to speak to because the bridge that's down by Frontrunner, it was given, we started this, gosh, I think it was when I first became mayor. We went after what's called the Tiger Grant. They don't even call it that now. Right now they changed the name, but the time we went after, because we love free money. I love free money. If I can go and fight and get free money, that's less money coming out of my pocket and yours. So we got a Tiger Grant for 3 bridges in Utah County. The first bridge was built, the UVU bridge was part of that Tiger Grant, that huge bridge that goes across I-15. And then we were 3rd. And so we are now finally building our bridge down to cross over the Frontrunner. Do you want to speak to that, Gordon?
Just real quick, it will be done in October and it'll be open in November, so we're really excited. I take the Frontrunner nearly every day to work, and I see what a need this is gonna be. It's gonna be a really great facility to help connect this downtown across the tracks for pedestrians.
Yeah, and we'll do a big ribbon cutting for that as well because we want to celebrate these wins. This is a huge win for us. It's gonna be very accommodating for bikes. It has the bike details where you can hook your tires in and walk it up the stairs, and it's just a lot safer. We've seen too many videos of people dodging in and out, and we are just gonna make Provo safer that way. And then the last, and this Wild Urban Interface Program, what this is, did they come and speak to you about this to your meeting yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. So they're going to. And what this is, Chief, actually, so we retired Chief Miguel today, about an hour and a half ago. And we just swore in our new interim chief, Jeremy Hedman. So Jeremy, do you want to speak a little bit to this?
So our wildland program, it's a program where we're going to try to find high-risk areas that we worry about a fire catching and extending into other areas where it would, especially where it would threaten structures or homes. Most of the wildland program we have funded we deploy wildland firefighters all over the country to help other areas fight fires. And we've been able to, from the revenues from that, we've been able to fund most of this program. And they're doing great work. Captain Jeannie Atherton's heading up the program, and she just is. We have a 6-handed crew, and they're out cutting brush and trees and trimming and doing everything we can to create a fire break. We had a fire catch 1500 east and I don't know, around 2700 north. And it stopped right at one of the fire breaks they had cut. So it didn't run up the Y Mountain. So the program's working and it's awesome.
it is really a great program, and Jeannie will come and do a presentation. I think she's slowly getting through all the districts and so get ready. She's just amazing, does amazing work. And then I think the last one that we have on this slide is, we were number 2 safest city in the US. Keith Morey is gonna get on me for getting my numbers off. We weren't 3, we're 2. This is really exciting. This is our fire station 1 that as you're right here, you get to see the demolition of Old City Hall every day, as do I, and it is just amazing the way we're getting that old dilapidated, broken down, leaking, broken building down and hauled away so that we can rebuild fire station 1, and it will be going on that same corner over there, just I believe a smaller footprint. We did a big study of the whole city of where fire stations need to be. And they came and we thought, do we move it to the west? And we asked all the questions, and after their study, it showed that it was in the right place in order to serve the city, downtown city neighborhoods. And so we trust the statistics, and we're gonna build it right where they said to build it. So we're gonna go back and put it up. And we are well on our way with that. The drawings are going right now. They can build these fire stations in it's amazing. Once we get it cleared off and ready to go, it only takes about 14 to 16 months. So once we start moving, it'll move fast, and it'll be a huge asset to downtown Provo to have this beautiful new fire station that will add a fire truck, right, Jeremy? We'll add another fire truck down here for you. So, all right, let's go on to our economically vibrant. Let's see, the regional sports parks. So these are all things that I'm working on. Again, this is my report card to you that are going to help with our economy. Provo's unique. We have, actually, this is just a story that only you're going to hear because it just happened this morning. I had Speaker of the House, Brad Wilson, come down and wanted to meet with me today. So he was in my office and we were talking about Provo, and he wanted to know what's going on, and it's just like, how are you doing it? And we're just all baffled how you're getting so much done with our airport and all these exciting things. And I said, first of all, it's not me. And I tell these guys all the time, it is not me, it is them, it's the employees. We have amazing people. But a lot of it is the fact that you show me another city in the state that has 2 Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint temples, an MTC, the largest private school, a regional hospital. I'm just trying to think of if I missed anything. Anyways, that is non-taxable.
Convention center, county buildings.
Oh, that's right, all the county buildings,
Court.
the convention center, the 4th District Court building. We can't tax any of those entities. So we are literally running this city on about 52% tax base, which is unheard of. We're the only city in the state. So it's my job to make sure that doesn't impact your wallet. And so by doing things that are economically vibrant, that are gonna bring money to the city, that protects you. So these are projects that are going to help you and protect you and bringing the dollars into Provo, because we are unable to tax a lot of entities in the city just because of where we live. And I'm not complaining. Provo is the best city in the nation. The quality of life is amazing, but it is a little bit tricky as my finance director here, as we go through the budget and just squeeze every penny. It's a little tricky. So we want to bring things to Provo because we're open for business. So we want you to come spend your money here. So we're the regional sports park, 40 million in local spending every year is what the projection is. And that's just the first year. The projections are telling us now that it's going to be a much larger number. So we'll see. We're really excited. We'll take the 40 million in Provo. Next is the target, the super target that's coming to Provo. And I think this was a question we got. So I think this is a good time to have Director Pepperoni speak to this.
So target, and do you also want me to do the update of the law or just?
Yeah, might as well just do them both. They're both good, but a lot of questions.
So you probably heard Target is coming in. It's going to be their super center, their larger footprint store. It's going into the box of the Dillard store. The retail area will be the upper floor, so you'll enter it from the east. just under 140,000 square feet. Just to give you some idea of scale, the Smiths on Freedom is less than half that size. We were hoping that it would open by Christmas of this year. Looks like it will be first quarter of next year. Okay. We've seen since COVID how popular online ordering is for grocery pickup. So right outside their new front door on the east side of the building, there will be parking spaces there that'll easily accommodate pickup of your online orders. We're hoping that this is a catalyst for the first kind of step or stage of redevelopment of the mall. We're kind of beholden to the property owner to see what happens, but we have been in talks with a large box store that is looking at the south parking lot towards Home Depot. We hope that that happens, a big box user. The mall has expressed interest in putting housing on the site. And the existing zone they're in would allow for 7 or 8 acres of apartments or townhomes or some other type of high density residential. So they can do that right now by right. So we're hoping that they'll do that also as a base following target. So there's a lot of potential out there, but again, you know, we meet with the property owners regularly to try to encourage things to happen, but we really do have to wait for them to pull the trigger.
Bill. So let's move on. Provo, and you're saying, why in the world did the mayor put the Provo International Airport? We are like still pinch me now. We built that airport and cut the ribbon in August, and we are already out of room. Literally have outgrown our airport. We are at capacity with our new beautiful airport. We are talking to airlines, other airlines that want to come here and if they were to call me tonight and say, Mayor, we're such and such, and I can't say any names, and you all know them, and we want to come to the Provo Airport, I would have to say, I'm sorry, we don't have space for you. We are at capacity at the airport. And who's been out to the new airport? Raise your hand. What a gem. We're so grateful and lucky that we were able to open that airport with not a dime out of the taxpayers' dollars and with zero debt. It's a miracle airport to me, right? I cannot believe we've got it. But in the meantime, we need to grow. So we've had airlines write letters of intent that if you will build out, and we've got 3 more gates we're tentatively getting ready to pop up out of the ground. Beauty of it is when we built this airport, we were forward looking and we put 10 hookups in the ground. So the heavy lifting, the infrastructure, the expensive, ugly stuff that no one sees that makes the difference in a city, the 10 hookups are in the ground. So we will pull up 3 more, and we've had letters of intent of airlines wanting to fly international and committed to flying international out of the Provo Airport if we can get the international component. It's just like unbelievable. We are ready to go. So, and my directors are the best, and they know I get excited and I just think, okay, then let's at least try. So we've been to work on this. I've been back in DC 5 times, red-eyeing in and out, trying to get free money and earmarks. We've been up at the Capitol. We were able to land state funding. We've been able to land county funding. We are working really hard to be able to, in the next 3 years, open the Provo International Airport. So sit tight, be patient with me. I'm working really hard to see if we can repeat what we were able to do with the Provo Airport that's there right now. All right, let's see. The next thing that I'll speak to is we have started a new campaign called the Provo Advantage. And what the Provo Advantage is, does anyone is on the mailing list for the Provo Advantage in here yet? Quinn, yes, Laura, thank you. And if you want to be on that table back there is places to leave your email and you will be added. But what we're doing is we're telling Provo's economic story. Again, economic vibrancy matters. Like, you know the story. We are really pushing that. And these numbers are even bigger now, right, Keith?
They are.
This is when we first started this about 6 weeks ago, and they're much larger now. But we're telling our economic our Provo Advantage, which is our economic advantage of things we're doing to make Provo great. And we are having great reception from this. And then the last one here is just amazing, and it's because of the employees. We have historically been named the nation's best performing city 2 years in a row. And we're really excited and really proud of all the hard work that when we have all our part-time and full-time, we're at capacity of about 1,400 employees. And it's because of the employees that we have been able to win this and pull this award off 2 years in a row. It's amazing. And it's just a fun little fact on that. So when they called and asked me to come and accept the award, I was blown away because number 2 was Miami. Number 3 was Austin, Texas. Number 4 was Colorado, and number 5 was LA. So I'm on the stage, the only woman with all these mayors from these big cities, and they all are wanting to know what the secret is. How are you pulling this off, Mayor?
Where's Provo?
The Miami mayor leaned over and said, I think I'm gonna change my name to Provo because, but again, it's who you are, it's who the employees are, it's the quality of life we have here, it's where we are placed on this beautiful state map with the mountains right behind us and the lake and the rivers. The quality of life is amazing here in Provo. That's someone who was born and raised and who loves this place. So forward looking, I always think 30 years out. So when I make a decision, I think, is this going to be something in 30 years that I'm glad we did, or am I going to regret it? And I ask my staff to think that way too. Think 30 years out, because we have got to be held responsible for the future. We're the decision makers. We're the ones making decisions that will impact generations to come. So we try and focus at least 30 years out when we do our decision making. So one of our campaigns we're focused on is Preserving Provo campaign. It's similar to our Provo Advantage campaign. Again, if you want to be receiving these monthly little, they're great little, quick little newsletters. You can click on a video, click on a link, and it talks about all the things we're doing, our year-long initiative to educate and empower our community to preserve Provo's quality of life. Because that matters. That really does matter to me. It's changed a lot. I mean, I was born on just right off of Center Street. My grandma taught Mrs. Kenner at Mazer Elementary. She was the only woman teacher for 25 years. I mean, our roots go really deep here. And we've watched it change. I worked on Provo Center Street. My sisters worked at Cook's Ice Cream. It's just been amazing to watch this place grow and develop. So I feel this stewardship to keep directing the growth, to do it the right way, so that we don't have big regrets. And Provo still is the #1 city in the nation, I would hope, for years to come. All right, so something else we're doing is we're updating our website. So our website is 10 years old. We've had some embarrassing moments where we tried to pull stuff up in public meetings, and the information is 9 years old. And so I just said enough. We're better than that. So we are working on fixing our website, updating it, and coming up with a new website that also is accompanied with an app, so that you can use an app on your phone to work off of our website. So stay tuned on that one. The process has started. I don't want to spend a lot of money because I'm trying to do it in-house as much as we can. So every department's PIO has been tasked with go to the last page of your website and start updating, throw out the old, and let's just start working forward, because when we do decide to invest the money on a website, all of the people we have talked to, they've said you can literally take your information and plunk it into the new website. So we're doing the hard lifting and heavy lifting right now in the city to save taxpayer dollars. That's going to be exciting though, to have an app. We've never had an app to work our city. Okay, so these are some exciting, forward-looking, I mean, like my mind just gets overwhelmed because it's so exciting and I know way too much about sewer treatment plants now. But it's okay. Dave's a great educator and he teaches me a lot. So I'm just gonna read through these and then we're gonna come back and turn the time over to our Public Works Director, Dave Decker. He's gonna address our ASR, and then he's also gonna jump right into, since this is our last one, to the questions that I was getting. Everyone wants to know about flooding updates, and he's over that as well. Yeah, it's just, like, I can't go anywhere. My poor husband is just like, stop. I can't go anywhere because everyone's like, how's the floods, Mayor? What's the tsunami coming? And he just keeps walking. And a half hour later, I jog and find him. So our new wastewater treatment plant, it surpasses current standards to meet the anticipated future regulations. I've learned about the membrane. I've learned about the impacts it's going to have on Utah Lake. This is just an amazing amenity that we are going to have in Provo. And a fun story I love to tell about Dave. Dave's so kind and he hates the spotlight. That's the best part about it, right? So when I was running for mayor, I went and met with every director and just said, you know what, if you, my name's Michelle Kaufusi, I'm president of the school board right now, but I'm gonna run for mayor. Tell me, if money weren't an issue, I need you to be really honest with me and tell me what is the biggest problem in your department that you're facing, that you feel like no one's listening or no one's paying attention. And Dave had this most beautiful presentation of all these things. And then he stopped and said, it's our water reclamation, our sewer treatment plant. It's old, it's dilapidated. With all the development, we're at capacity and someone needs to listen. And I immediately told him, listen, I am not afraid to be the sewer mayor. I mean, nobody, that's, you know, when the sewer backs up in everyone's house, you're not a good mayor. So let's address it. Let's take a deep dive into the sewer and see what do we need to do to get there. In the meantime, the state started putting regulations and fines if we weren't upgraded, and with all that algae blooms on our Utah Lake, a lot of it's the phosphorus that's coming out of sewer treatment plants. So I said, let's just go. Let's do this. Let's get a state of the art. Let's make our lake gorgeous. Let's help the citizens. Let's make it so that we can serve our community better. And it's just gonna be an amazing sewer treatment plant that opens when, Dave?
About a year from now.
About a year from now. That one, I'm telling you, you're gonna wanna come to it and tour it. It's so fascinating. It's just amazing. Dave's gonna speak about the ASR, and then that ties into the last one, which is the water treatment plant. Actually, the ASR and the water treatment plant kind of go hand in hand. So I'll turn the time over to Dave to speak to those two, because these are forward-looking projects again, right? We're thinking at least 3 years. How old is our current water or sewer?
Reclamation plant was built in 1956.
1956. So we're thinking way out. We want to take care of you now, and we want to take care of your kids, and we want to take care of your grandkids that are going to live here. So Dave, will you speak to the ASR water treatment plant as well? And then why don't we just go ahead and move right into the questions we received? And the biggest one I'm getting is flooding. So you can speak to that, because poor Dave, he's over flooding too. The guy doesn't sleep.
I do sleep because we've got great employees in public works. Gordon's one of the employees in public works, and we have about 150 full-time employees in public works. Really, really top-notch people. And they do a lot of background. It's not really obvious, but we cover 12 different areas, and one of the areas is your drinking water. The mayor talked a lot about the wastewater. That's another one of the 12 areas. And by the way, she has been very supportive. The administration, the deputy mayor, they have really done some fantastic work in getting money for the airport, for the wastewater treatment plant. The treatment plant is about $120 million project. It's a major project, and it's actually starting to go vertical. If you drove by recently down in the East Bay area. And just like the mayor said, I'd encourage people to come when that open house. It'll be summer of 24 when that opens. As far as drinking water, it's one of our major areas and major concerns. And Provo City gets most of their drinking water from the ground, either springs or one of 16 wells we run 16 wells out of the groundwater aquifer right underneath our feet. And most people don't know that that's the major source of our drinking water. And there's about a 150-year history that dates back, really, really smart decisions relative to water and water rights that have protected water for Provo City. Lots of people and a very long history have made really good decisions. One of the things that we've noticed recently is the decline in that aquifer, and in some locations, especially near the mouth of the canyon, the aquifer has dropped about over 100 feet in the 40 years since some of the wells have been drilled. So one of the things that we're concerned about is sustaining that aquifer and the quality of water. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to people initially when I say this, but we're actually building a water treatment plant. It will be located up on Freedom Boulevard, if you know where the Raintree Apartments are. Just north of the Raintree Apartments, there's kind of a vacant parking lot right there. The city bought that land about 3 years ago now, and the treatment plant, the water treatment plant, will be built there primarily because it follows what is called the mill race. It's an historic irrigation supply, basically. And we will take water out of the Provo River and treat the water and then pump it up into the hills. Rock Canyon is one of those locations that we will put the water back into the ground. So if you watch Rock Canyon in the last 2 or 3 weeks, you'll notice flood water is coming down Rock Canyon, and that's the natural flow. And that flow is actually supplying the aquifer. Most people don't recognize, and I'll give you a little hint next time you walk Rock Canyon. Just after you go through the green gate near the mouth of the canyon, if you go about another 150 feet of the trail, go off and look. There's a flume in the stream right there. We're measuring the water at that location. We're measuring it downstream. We can tell how much water drops out of the stream between those two measuring spots. And I'll just give you the number. About 1 gallon per linear foot of stream bed drops out of that stream. So if you're running 5,000 gallons a minute at the upper flume, we only have about 3,000 gallons a minute running in the lower flume. And that's just because Rock Canyon is named the right name. It's just a rock, just a lot of rock. And literally the water just drops into the aquifer right there. And that's supplying our natural supply of our aquifer. What we're doing with the treatment plant, though, is we're running it all year long. We're going to be taking water out of the river and actually running it in that same stream bed and other locations in the city and resupplying our aquifer to make sure that we have a long-term supply of water. It assures Provo City not only the quality of water, but the quantity of water that's needed in a long, sustainable way. I probably don't have time enough to describe all of the program and why we're doing it, but it really is a forward-looking program. We're looking 5-6 years down the road. As most surface water managers, they generally look about 1 to 2 years out. And in Provo City, we're looking 5, 6, maybe even 10 years down the road as we try to look at the supply of water. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you might have either now or at the end of the meeting. So let me jump to the flooding that the mayor's talked about. I'll give a little bit of a broad overview of where we're at, and then you can ask some questions. So most of you know, over this last year, we've had a very good winter. In fact, most of the snow-tell sites are breaking records. We have one snow-tell site that's above Rock Canyon. It's called Cascade Peak. So a snow-tell site is basically an electronic measurement of snow in the area. And I showed the council last meeting, I showed a snow-tell site on Cascade. And I showed the maximum ever recorded on that site and the minimum ever recorded on that site a whole bunch of years. If you look at that site this year, it's about 50% higher than the maximum ever recorded on that site. It's amazing how much snow is, especially in the upper elevations. I was telling some of the directors yesterday, I was in a meeting with, some state officials, and they were talking about flooding. And they showed snow-tell sites at, Towne Grove, which is in Logan Canyon, up above, Bear Lake. And they showed Ben Lomond Peak, and then, snow-tell site in Snowbird. And Towne Grove has 50 inches of water, not snow, 50 inches of water still in the upper elevations. Ben Lomond Peak had 60 inches of water, and Snowbird had 70 inches of water sitting on the ground in the snow. And if you know how to read those snow-tell sites, the snow is just barely started to cap, and that means that the snow is just barely starting to melt in those upper elevations. And we have all of that water still headed our direction. So I know Timpanogos doesn't flow into Provo, but we have a lot of upper elevation snow that has not started to melt. We fully anticipate probably through the whole month of June, we will see snow runoff, very heavy snow runoff in most of the frontal canyons. So the concerns that we have right now are at Long Slate Canyon, Rock Canyon, and Little Rock Canyon. We're monitoring those. We actually have video monitoring that we're running 24 hours a day. So we have people on call to watch during the night even. We've asked for help with sandbags. The residents have been fantastic, responded to a goal to fill 100,000 sandbags. We actually have about 120,000 filled to date. And we're hoping that we don't have to use those, but in case that we do, we feel like that we're very well prepared for any issues along those frontal canyons. A little bit of planning that's gone in along those 3 frontal canyons. We've actually mapped out a sandbag route. In fact, if you know what you're looking for, you can actually see them on the streets. We marked them. And so we're prepared to actually sandbag some of the streets if we have to divert some of those waters out of the canyons. We are not anticipating needing to do that. In the 83, 84 floods, we learned a lot of lessons, and so we put some extra infrastructure in place. So most of the pipe is in place to handle what we feel is going to come out of the canyons. But in an emergency, if we have a lot of water coming, certainly in one push, we feel like we're prepared to do some sandbagging. The biggest concern that I have, and let me kind of shift gears to the river itself, the Provo River. So this is one of probably my biggest concerns. Most of you probably know the Provo River is managed. So releases in Deer Creek and Jordanelle Reservoir, they're manually set. And so we don't get a natural flow like some of the streams like Immigration Creek or Mill Creek in Salt Lake County do, which are flooding right now. And so right now, most of the flow, the reason that we're seeing a lower flow in Provo River is because they're filling Deer Creek and Jordanelle Reservoir. And we're watching that fill process. However, once those reservoirs fill or they reach a certain level, they're going to start passing through the natural flow. And we've been told that we should anticipate at least 1,800 cubic feet per second. So let me just translate that. Right now in the river, we have about 500 cubic feet per second. So somewhere between 3 to maybe even 4 times the amount of water that you see in the river today will be coming down the river in June. And so we'll kind of see that step up as the reservoirs fill. My biggest concern again is flooding along the river. And so we've actually prepared a couple of plans on the river itself for either sandbags or sandbag routes to take water out of the river. So one other component that we're very concerned about, and I think there's probably, if there's not a question, I'll probably get asked a question about this from this neighborhood. We have a new feature at the end of the river that we have not seen function. The Delta Restoration Project for the June Sucker was built by a number of federal agencies, and they rerouted the river into the Delta area. And we're a little concerned, I have to tell you, we've walked out a couple of times with those federal agencies and already noting just at 500 cubic feet per second, some concerns that we have. So we actually met 2 days ago with those federal agencies and the local agencies that they partner with, expressed some of those concerns. We have a meeting next week to actually walk the Delta again with a number of federal agencies. So we're keeping a pretty close eye on a lot of areas. We've got a good month or a month and a half of very active public works help. And by the way, I need to acknowledge parks, our energy department, a number of our police and fire have played a key role in preparing for a potential flood emergency. There.
So I've been a real stickler at these meetings and saying at 7:50 we stop, and the questions that have been submitted, we will email you the answers. We'll send them to Rachel, and Rachel will email them out, which always breaks my heart because I've got people all along this wall that are here to specifically answer those specific questions. But what I like to do for the last 15 minutes is open it up to you. And you can ask the question you submitted, or you can ask another question. And what I'll do is I'll have your district chair, Laura, carry the mic, and I'm just gonna ask you to state your name so that we can kind of get to know some of you. And then the director or myself, whoever is the right person to answer your question, will be ready to answer it. So Laura, thank you.
My name is Dylan Sidrich. I'm on the executive board actually, and I'm just gonna ask the question that I submitted. So are you, the city council and the city staff, having like any internal discussions about the housing shortage in Provo and potential solutions to address housing affordability in the city? And then are there any specific plans in the works right now to maybe either like increase the supply, help make housing more affordable for young people or first-time home buyers? I feel like this is a huge issue in the city, especially for younger people like me, and we have a lot more of them in this neighborhood district than in other areas of the city. So just curious if you have any insight on that.
And Bill is over that, so I will have him speak to you, but I just wanna say, and is Rachel here? Did she, I thought I saw Rachel. Where are you, Rachel?
She was
Oh,
here trying not to take a call.
Okay, anyways, your council rep, Rachel Whipple, is amazing, and she will vouch with me. I don't think we have a meeting, and probably not in 3 years have we had a meeting where we have not talked about housing affordability. The one piece that you should know is, again, our form of government's unique. I'm what's called a strong mayor. I'm the only one in the county. And so it is a legislative zoning, so it is under the tutelage of the council. So she is definitely someone you can talk to, and she's all engaged, right? But I thought it would be fun to have Bill speak to it, because literally, Bill, do we ever not talk about how to solve this problem? Never, okay.
So the one city in the county that would be completely justified by saying, or to say, we've done our share for affordable housing and we're gonna close our door to it, would be Provo. But Provo has never taken that attitude. None of the city councils or the mayors we've had have ever taken that attitude, which I really admire, and it makes my job more rewarding, more fulfilling, not having that kind of attitude. Some things we've done recently is the staff just recently met with a representative of 2 nonprofits, the board member of both of those nonprofits, to see what we could do as a city to joint venture or even partner with them to try to help make some of these projects happen. There's one property that they're offering on, it's on the market. There's another property that the city owns, and we've talked about both of those. What we're trying to come up with on those properties is affordable, single-family detached homes. So you guys have seen more than your share of apartments and townhomes going up in Provo. We're trying to work with those nonprofits to see if we can actually come up with affordable, single-family detached. Now, most of the apartments and townhomes you've seen get built in Provo and or are actually moderate income housing. That's affordable to people who make 80% of the average median income. When we meet with these nonprofits and we try to do a project together, we're talking about truly affordable housing, which is affordable to 60% of the average median income. Another thing we're doing is we just started talking to the city council about a major rewrite of the zoning ordinance. One of the things we've asked them to let us look at in that rewrite is incentivized zoning, where we try to do things with zoning to incentivize developers to deliver things like affordable housing. So you give a density bonus if they're willing to have affordable units in the project that are deed restricted affordable units. So they stay that way for 30 years. Okay, and the projects we're doing with the nonprofits are doing that same kind of thing. So is it enough? No. No, we haven't done enough. But we're doing what we can. We're trying to be proactive. And like the mayor said, a meeting doesn't go by that council members of the administration doesn't bring up this issue of the need for affordable housing. It's discouraging how fast housing costs have gone up and how slowly wages have gone. Very frustrating. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think Bill has probably already addressed this, but I'd like to see neighborhood housing services come back into Provo. How do you do it?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
A loud mouth, what do you do? Like to see neighborhood housing services come back into Provo and make homes more affordable to first-time homeowners. And I was gonna ask the mayor if she would support that. Getting NHS back in Provo.
NeighborWorks, I'm not.
NeighborWorks, NHS, they were in Provo and they left, they're in Orem now. They used to be in Provo for quite a while, helping first-time homeowners get into homes.
We do that with our federal funds, Melissa.
Yeah, so we do have a group that's the CDBG and home funding group in my department. They already work with people to provide first-time home buyers with the down payment assistance.
So
Things like that.
Residents access that information.
Call us.
Yeah, it's on our,
Okay.
look on our website, call us. Melissa McNally is the director that are, they're just head over that.
So I have flyers and I'll put them on the back table
Great.
about the loan to own and the home purchase plus programs.
Awesome.
And there are more programs available like that for different improvements on historic homes, and there's all
Right,
sorts of different
ingress
things
window,
that give you financial opportunities.
emergency home repair, I'll put these all out.
This one by that I haven't signed off on one of those ones. So we're giving his own.
Okay, thank you.
I know, I'm really excited, and I've worked with all of you on projects, and I remember the question I was gonna ask you earlier, so I'm just gonna ask it for everyone. But we're making a lot of progress to help calm the speeds on Center Street. The speed limit's 15, but the average speed is 35. It's been a problem forever and ever. And we're really glad that we've been able to work with Gordon and some of the other departments, and there are some applications in place right now to make great changes, physical changes to the streetscape with outdoor dining and elevated crosswalks that we hope to see in the next little bit. But I wanted to ask again, if we could put together an organized effort as we're making changes and as the signs, there were missing speed limit signs that have gone up. There are new signs that say reduce speed ahead. But I'd love to put together a real blitz on enforcement. If we could spend a specific period of time enforcing, now that some of the signage and the streetscape is changing, then hopefully change behavior.
Well, we have a traffic team that would love to do that. And that's, I say we love to do that, but it's a safety issue. When the speeds are that high, we have, but this is zoned as a mall. I mean, we're driving through a mall when we go down Center Street. So it's a public safety issue. We get overtime that's paid for through the state. They help us with these type of things, operation. It's designed to change behavior. That's true. That's what you're talking about. So yes, absolutely.
Well, there's your free warning, everybody. It's all Quinn's fault.
Yeah.
So if you all get pulled over for speeding or, rolling through a stop sign in the next month.
Yeah.
Don't call chief, call Quinn.
You can send direct messages to Downtown Provo Instagram.
Why don't we take one more question?
I know that there are, a number of items on our list
If you want to see just one of those off the list, and again, we will get answers and get them emailed out, every single one of these submitted questions. If there's one that stands out to you, we're happy to address it.
I have a selfish one. I'm actually very curious about the name change of Joaquin Park. I have not seen this yet, except for on this agenda. And I oppose it personally, but I don't know who Cindy Richards is. I do know who Joaquin is.
Yeah, so this is one that we talked about. I had actually someone reach out to me about it, about the name, and Cindy Richards actually was a city council member. She lives in downtown. Is she in the Franklin neighborhood? Is that where she? Or Joaquin, she was an amazing, you know, she just recently passed and was an amazing advocate for community and engagement, so that's who Cindy Richards is.
We wouldn't have that park if she wasn't on the council.
That's true.
That, she's the one that grandfathered that whole thing.
And I love the park, but I do think that people are forgetting who Joaquin is. I don't think that.
Well, the different, there's no Joaquin Elementary anymore is the problem.
Well, if I see it later on too, I mean.
Well, I can go ahead and ask, the answer to the question is actually very easy, as in the sense, the answer to the question is, whoever wants to do it, come ask me and I'll give them this packet, but there, rather than, going through everything that says that there's already an established chapter in the city code about how to name city assets. And there's also an executive order from the mayor that lays out the exact process. The process essentially amounts to a petition. Now, normally when you think petition, you think going around and getting a whole bunch of signatures. The petition can actually be filed by only one person. But the person has to submit a signed request that meets a bunch of criteria. That petition goes to the mayor's office. The mayor does some preliminary research, including valuing the property, which determines then whether it's the mayor's decision or the city council's ultimate decision. And anyway, I have here, for whoever's interested, a copy of both the chapter of the code and the administrative directive that lays out the petition process. But that would be the process. Is it someone interested in doing that would need to submit the petition and we follow through the process. And I'm assuming the park is probably worth more than $500,000. I don't know how.
Pocket park, it's not,
Is it?
it's not one of the bigger parks.
Okay.
It's according to city law.
So if it's more than $500,000, that means it would be a council decision ultimately.
Yeah, it is. And that.
All right, so I just want to conclude that. Then the reason I do this part stop and do 1 hour, one really fun hour, is because these folks have been here since 7 a.m. And so I try to get them out of here. They usually get to come home at 6, but because they're so kind and willing and want to help the community, they all agree to stay and visit with you. We appreciate you allowing us to really throw a wrench into your regularly scheduled district meetings, but we will do this every year because I feel it's so important for us to get out into the communities, and especially with this new neighborhood program, we really want to be a player in this, and we really want to be helpful and available. And so I'll just close by saying a little bit of a thank you on my behalf. I know that the seat I hold is not my seat. I know that it is your seat. Someone will take this seat at some point and come up with their own ideas of what they want to do. But I just want y'all to know that while I'm here, I love working with my city council. I love the projects we've tackled, and I'll work really hard for you as long as I'm in the seat. So thank you, and thank you for giving up your time to come tonight. We really appreciate it.
I guess this one's working all of a sudden. You're up next, because we're gonna talk about, ordinance amendments to section 14.21A. You guys code you.
So this was actually initiated by city staff because in very short order, we got multiple requests for businesses to go to the planning commission and get exceptions for ordinance for business to go downtown, right here on Center Street. Or all three of those businesses were on Center Street. So what happens is This is obviously a historic district, and there are very few, if any, parcels on Center Street or the first few blocks north of University that have enough on-site parking for the size store that's there. So they're all non-conforming to the city ordinances. So if a restaurant goes out of business, a new restaurant goes in, city staff can just approve it and operate it on. The problem we have is when a restaurant goes out, the retail business or something else that's other than a restaurant. Now, all of a sudden, we have to apply new parking standards, we have to use new land use code for it. Now, all of a sudden, we're telling the property owner, we'd love to approve that business, but until you go to the planning commission and get a reduction for your parking, we can't approve it. And it's just creates a bureaucratic, pain for that business owner. None of us wants to see empty storefronts on Center Street, right? We all want to see these businesses reused, right? We all want to see them busy. So what this code, this amendment is doing, let's flip that one more time. So it's. Again,
Here we go.
okay, there we go. So that's Center Street. You see the new city hall building, the old city building. So just in this area, these code amendments will say in the downtown 1 zone and downtown 2 zone, this code amendment will say, if this business goes out and a new business wants to come in, we don't have to worry you over parking. They can just, the business is allowed in the zone, the new business can go in. The fact of the matter is in downtown Provo, we have over 12,600 parking spaces. We have sufficient parking. Now, it's not always right outside the store you want to go to. You might have to walk a block. But you guys are from this area, you know this area, you guys are all bought into that kind of mindset and lifestyle. So that's something new to you. The reason these are windowed out is because this will be new development. And new development needs to meet today's codes. So when that redevelops, and we're in the process of going through, we're in a process with developers right now to figure out what to do on this. But whatever takes place there would have to meet today's ordinances, okay? So is that pretty clear? Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? This really was an attempt to take a bureaucratic step out of the process for economic development.
Do you see any potential for more intense uses to go into existing buildings and therefore increase the demand, parking demand?
Yes. Yes, so let's take Los Hermanos building, for example, over here on East Center, it burned down, right? So then it's gonna be rebuilt. So we've had numerous developers come and talk to us about that space over the months. And what we told them is, if you're gonna replace the store where they store, we'll just call the parking good. If you're gonna add residential above that, which all of them that have come and visited us have wanted to do, we've said the new square footage has to be parked. You're gonna have to find parking for that, okay? So if you're, as long as you're staying within the existing footprint of a building, this ordinance amendment allows us to call the parking good. If you're gonna try to add square footage, either by expanding the footprint or going higher, that new square footage has to have new parking, has to have additional parking.
So I would worry just a little bit about more intense uses going in without expanding, that a restaurant is in there, and I don't know, a call center goes in or something. I mean, that's not, anyway.
That's an extreme example, but something like that could happen,
Right.
Yes.
Right. So I guess that's my concern, and you mentioned how many stalls are available in downtown, but I would say unless it's changed a lot in the last year and a half or so, that parking doesn't necessarily function well. There's different people that manage different things, and they have different restrictions on who can park there. And I've heard from plenty of business owners who say, I got employees and there's no legal place for them to park in this area. And so anyway, I think this is a good step, but I also feel like it's just kind of a small Band-Aid. And I really do feel like the city should own downtown parking and should try to, take an active role in managing those parking assets that we have equity in and anyway,
So Dave makes a lot of good points. Dave is, of course, very familiar with all this because he spent years on the city council. We've had many discussions over these issues. So you're right. I won't get into it now, but there's some other things that we can do and should do. There's an issue coming up that we're trying to wrestle through the parking authority question. So let's talk offline and I can go over some of this with you.
I would just say this, I think this is a wonderful change, largely because one obstacle we end up running into is if a property wants to or needs to change use, and this parking requirement is prohibitive, it ends up driving up the incentive for these historic buildings to be demolished for a new project. Because that's the only way they can provide the necessary parking. And that incentive does destroy historic downtowns. And so I'm grateful for this change in the hopes that we can continue to preserve more of the historic element in the downtown.
Thank you, Quinn. The reason we did a pretty finite area, defined area, was to see if this is going to work, see if we have unintended consequences. We wanted to restrict the ability for that kind of thing to happen. So this is kind of a test case, but to me, it makes a lot of sense. I think there are more positives that come out of this than negatives. Something else? That issue?
Yeah, move on, right?
Okay. I think I'm up for the next one too, right?
Yeah, so the next one is, the one lot plat for a proposed apartment building in the campus use zone located at 75 feet, 800 yards.
So I think you've seen this in a previous meeting. So this is your plan for that. So this is Brick Avenue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, one property owner or one group has assembled all of that land and they want to do a married student housing development complex. Around 300 units and 6 stories long. So pretty intense. But if there's a place where you'd want something like that, you know, a block or less from campus is where you'd want it, right? So the property was already zoned for this years ago when we did Joaquin neighborhood plan. We teed up the ball by rezoning some of the properties that followed the neighborhood plan. So that's what they're doing. They're just following the zoning and moving forward with that development.
Has there been discussion of this being affordable then? Because of married students where having a hard time finding people.
That's a really good question. So I actually live in the building on 3rd West and Center, in the Liberty Center, built by Calvin Partners. So most of the units in that building are deed restricted affordable housing. Not all of them, but 80% of them are. And we did that for this lower income demographic, and we did it, you know, downtown to service a certain demographic. The reality is a lot of the renters in that building are being remarried couples because they qualify for lower income. So on one hand, that's great that we've got housing for the BYU students. On the other hand, I'm kind of disappointed that it's that demographic is filling these downtown units. So this isn't, as far as I know, this isn't affordable housing. It's just going to be market rate. But I'm hoping that if the BYU students will move to areas like this, they'll free up units like the ones in that building. I know the mayor recently talked to the president of BYU. She meets with him every month. She recently said, you guys are killing us over this exact issue. Your BYU students filling up our other complexes around town. You're killing us. Would you please tear down your multifamily housing over by the laundromat, the really old Y mount stuff? She said, please tear that down and rebuild it much more densely for your own students, and especially your married students. Would you please help us with this housing issue? He had never heard that this was a housing issue, that their students were impacting like this. And so he was reminded to take a look at that. So it's a long answer to your question, but that's kind of how this is playing out. Jason, the expert.
Oh, no, I apologize. I haven't parsed this project, but are there any parking concessions on this? Do you know, off your head? I've not looked through that. In fact, to be honest, I had a hard time finding all the data on this. But
so it hasn't been to planning commission yet, which may be why you're having trouble finding some of the data. So they have to have on-site parking. Are
they one bedroom, 2 bedroom? We say married, but
primarily 1 bedroom, some 2 bedroom. But I want to say primarily it's like 85% 1 bedroom.
Just off the top of your head, so are there any like agreements, development agreements with them to keep it married, so they're not You know, because two singles can jump in a one bedroom or theoretically, I just don't know if they're. Just curious, I don't know much about the project.
So there's no development agreement with this because the property was already zoned, pre-zoned. This development agreements usually go with rezoning of property. So it's not a development agreement on this. And if they wanted to reduce their parking, they'd have to get special approval from the planning commission to reduce it. We haven't seen a request for that. We haven't seen a parking study. They have to actually give the planning commission a parking justification study that would help justify that. We haven't seen any of that data or that request.
So is there a way to get that data just to be aware of it, or is it just not publicly available?
Well, it's not publicly available yet because we don't have it. We haven't received it yet. Once they give it to us, it's public domain. It's open to anybody.
Gotcha.
Since I think I've got your contact information, I can have the project manager say.
Oh, yeah,
you
sure.
might get.
I just like to, yeah, people have asked me about it too, and I just to convey information.
Let's take things up and ask, one other question, that we submitted for social responsibility. We were curious about the future of the old city property.
So Keith Moore is our economic development director, and he also happened to be asked by the mayor to be project manager over the demolition of the building, and then the redevelopment is coming on right now. So I'll have Keith talk to you about that.
Okay, you know, I thought maybe I might get asked to come up earlier. I think the mayor underplayed just a little bit the accolades that Provo gets, and I just want you to know how important that is, because I think sometimes as residents, we look around our community, maybe we get frustrated by the things that we bump up against every day, things that you don't like, or things that maybe you think could be done better. And that tends to consume, I think, sometimes our perception of things. And I really hope as residents, we fully grasp how the rest of the country sees us. The mayor and I got a cold call from the Undersecretary of Commerce in DC, who said, I want to come and talk to you guys because we track economic data across the country, of course, and we can't figure out why Provo keeps raising to the top of our radar. And to me, that just says a lot about what's going on in our community, and despite things that frustrate all of us, because I live here too, Bill lives here too, and you know, I've been involved in Provo since I graduated from BYU in '92. So we're all passionate about it, and those things are really meaningful to me. So I think I hope you recognize that what we have here is really something special and something that I haven't seen anywhere else in Utah in the 30 years that I've been working for cities from Payson all the way up to Ogden. So anyway, the fact that City Hall is here on this block is a reflection of our commitment to downtown Provo and the significance that we feel this corridor plays in the heartbeat of our community. And so the revitalization of the rest of the block as we tear down the old City Hall and look for developers to partner with is a critical moment. The city gave me the accountability and the funding to tear that down. There was some perception, I think, at some point that was going to be a multi-year project, and so we've been thrilled to find an abatement and demolition company that's been able to do this so quickly. So it's been phenomenal. Meanwhile, we have an RFP that's out right now that expires at the end of this month. So developers that are interested have to respond to us by the end of this month with proposals or concepts that they might have for what would be on that block. We hope that it'll be what we'd like to see happen is we'd like there to be a mix of retail along Center Street, and possibly higher density residential behind it to support that, to support the rest of the retail on Center Street. We had hoped that maybe there might be a demand for some office involved in that, but with what's going on in the office market right now, I'm not sure that we'll get that. And some parking. We need to be able to park this City Hall structure better. We need to be able to provide parking for the Covey Center and the activities that go there, and then whatever gets built where the old City Hall is. So that'll be a component as well. So we'll just see what we get. We were partnered with a company last year, McQuinney out of Denver, that we had hoped to do something with, and they had a grand vision. Unfortunately, when they were done with their project, they wanted us to give them $70 million to do it. And that didn't make sense to any of us. So we backed out. That's a great concept. They've done that successfully in other places. They're building a huge project on the 100 acres back in Virginia, right outside of Dulles. But two counties came together, did a $500 million tax increment deal and built all the infrastructure for them and said, here you go. Well, that's just not how it work. That's not why Utah's the best run, most fiscally responsible state in the country. And that's why Provo's the #1 best performing city, because we don't do things like that. So we politely bowed out of that and hope to find somebody that's maybe a little more conservative and we're realistic about what we think we can do here and what the opportunity is. But frankly, this is a once in a generation opportunity. And so if we don't get something that's ideal, we may do something temporary until the market shifts or until we can get what we want. That's not what I want. I don't think that's the highest and best use, but we're also not willing to trade an incredible opportunity just to make something mediocre happen. Yes.
So one thing I'm wondering about, is there gonna be some sort of like public engagement process for like city residents to be able to participate in like a final design for the city hall? Like, I understand obviously that the developer needs to do something that they're gonna make money on, and it needs to make sense financially for the city, but it seems like that's like a publicly owned block of land on Center Street, like you said, like we're never really gonna get that again, so it would be cool if we can incorporate like some of the residents' vision.
I think there's a couple ways to answer your question. If you were here last year when we were working with planning, they did a very, very intensive public engagement process, which I thought was very informative, and we still, we own that data. We own that information, so we think that will probably play into the future development opportunities. We'll utilize a lot of that. But I'll also say some of that drove the cost where they ended up, right? Because public expectations were, wouldn't it be great if this was a park and there's lots of open space, and we'd like to have a theater that we don't have to pay to build and that the developer maintains and operates. All of that stuff was really wonderful. I love the concept of it. It looked beautiful, but it also made it hugely expensive and couldn't build it. I mean, that's part of where the $70 million came from, right? So frankly, Bill has said this before, Cowboy Partners did an incredible job with that building. It's a great asset. I think it fits well. It's where Peace on it, or this, we're on the corner up here. It fits well into the fabric of downtown. It fits the architectural and the style and the scale. Frankly, if we had a developer come forward and said that they wanted to build something like that and create enough kind of a connection between the cubby and into the residential component, I think I would probably say that's a smart development and it meets the downtown environment that we have right here. But I think everything the city does is public. It's always public. So none of this is going to happen backdoor. You're going to have the opportunity to come to public meetings and comment on it or respond to it or say what you like and what you don't like. And so I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that makes sense, I think.
Anything else? Yeah.
Did I understand the mayor correctly that the fire station will be on the block?
Yes, it will. We had hoped, frankly, to move that off to give us more developable property. But because of the state of the market and the value of property in the downtown area right now, it more than doubled the cost of building the fire facility to move it. And we were willing to do that when we were talking to McQueen about the potential of what that whole block could be. But as we backed away from that, and we needed to move forward with the fire station on our own, and the cost doubled and tripled, we just felt like we couldn't justify that to you or to anybody else. So we said, let's put it where we already own the property and we can keep it extended, so it's gonna stay in that one. Okay.
Thanks. I'm not sure that the role is appropriate for the Joaquin Park. Oh, she did this last week. I'm like, I seem really unkind. But a petition is required for that change. So I'm not sure the role is really appropriate. I do, with complete respect to Cindy Richards and maybe entering the public comment, this is my public comment. I've heard only wonderful things about Cindy Richards and accolades of praise for all of her effort to the park. I think the park is such a wonderful asset to our community, but I do want to talk about who Joaquin is because I think it's important. Joaquin Elementary was named after a person, and of course the park was maybe named after the school, but Joaquin was a young boy from the Timpanogos tribe here, because the Timpanogos are a people. A lot of people don't even know that, who actually was the guide for Dominguez and Escalante in 1776, where they explored the area, and he was never able to return even to his family. He followed them all the way to Santa Fe and stayed there for the rest of his life because he was so far away from his people. So I do think it is an important piece of Provo history to recall and remember, and I appreciate that we have mention of an indigenous person, in the form of the.
So why did they keep the name for the new elementary? Why did they change it to Steve? Well, it's not fair.
And, that was actually kind of interesting, because we wanted to be fair, actually. And it was a decision by the new principal, some of the members of the school board. And it was kind of, like, there were kids from the school at Fair who actually went and presented, including Sasha Fair, who actually had the last name. So
Keep it fair elementary.
or no, yeah, we were going to keep it Fair Elementary, like it had been, like it had been Fair Middle, but the new principal liked the other idea better, and the school board kind of went along with that, and so it was, the community had kind of not asked for that, but the administration decided that at that time. I was PTA president.
Because all the other neighborhoods are named after the elementary schools, and so we're the only one that doesn't have that name.
So major still up for us too, so.
Anyway, yeah, where they're disappearing and so.
You wanna make a phone?
I don't talk as loud as my wife does.
Thank you.
So I really think we need to consider carefully ways to honor Cindy Richards' legacy and make sure that that kind of impact by individuals caring about communities continues. I think the name of the park is one way to do it. There could be other ways to do that too. We have, that park has, is it called the Herb Peterson Playground?
It probably should be, right?
I don't think very much.
I don't think,
No.
but I agree with you. I wonder if there's a different way, like, she should definitely be honored. Yeah, I do wonder if there's.
Maybe a bench or
Avenue.
something in the park. But seriously, she wouldn't want, she wouldn't want.
She want full tennis courts.
Oh.
So maybe this is something we need to be thinking about and considering the different possibilities of that. Maybe that there is a pot of city money for local to neighborhood districts. And there could be a project that we could contribute to in terms of labor and so there may be something that we could do.
Thank you. Oh, we're right at 8:00 right in my home. I'm like, does anyone have, we can call it yes or something.
Okay, sorry about that. We just had a public comment. Someone was not able to attend, but they wanted to. I can bring this up. They just had a concern about landlords, pushing off shoveling, pest control, and maintaining landscaping onto the tenants. And they were just wondering, kind of what the gist of it is. He's wondering if there's people that want to organize an effort with the city to update code clarifying that owners of multifamily units cannot pass off these responsibilities to tenants. Right now, the state code is very vague. It just kind of says the landlord has to make sure it gets done. It doesn't say the landlord has to do it. And if you sign a lease saying it's your responsibility, then it's your responsibility. But he was just worried about, tenants not doing it and then it affecting the rest of the neighborhood because the grounds aren't kept up, pest control isn't done, and sidewalks aren't shoveled.
And my understanding. Oh,
Yep.
have it here, yeah,
Yeah,
is that like, there's nothing in the city code that goes beyond what the state.
right, correct.
Yeah, right.
So that might be for a future meeting if people are interested. He just wanted to bring it up.
I think it is a good point. Yeah.
I'll talk, my thoughts on this, I mean, I think that response is really good, and we kind of have, the market gets to decide, the tenants get to choose if they sign that lease or not. But I think where the city's role in that is just the enforcement of the sidewalks getting shoveled and whatnot, and then, you know, we can play the game on, you know, the landlord can come down on the tenant for not doing it or whatever, but still, if the city's not enforcing sidewalk being shoveled, then, you know, I think that's I don't think we can pass a law to do that. I don't think we should pass a law to do that, but I think we can enforce the laws that are in place and provide that encouragement to get the sidewalks.
So a city violation they're happening, put a complaint in through 311, and my firm will get on it.
I know we're over time, but just for future discussion, I would sure like to talk to whoever and hear from whoever the current parking manager is. And see what their thoughts are and if they have any relationship with what we think we need in our neighborhoods.
We have a very good parking manager, her name is Sandy Lucio, and I'd be happy to set her up for one of your meetings or be with the subgroup with you or whatever would be out.
So we do have one.
We do.
And how long has she been in?
This week.
She's been at the parking department for many years.
Many
She's been
years.
a manager, but this is pretty recently.
But yeah, because there was a number, there's been like 2 or 3 that.
Right.
Are we adjourned?
Thanks all for coming.
Thank you.